My fellow Americans, this is John Muntean talking to you again from MunteenForAmerica.com. And now I want to take a couple minutes to talk to you about what I think is one of the foundational problems in this government today, and that is corruption by public officials, or the corruption of public officials. Everybody loves to say that politics is a dirty business and it's just you got to play the game and pay to play, all that those other sorts of things. And if we're willing to tolerate and accept that, then we get the benefits or the results of that throwing our hands up and doing nothing. Can't expect anything better if we never expect anything different. But is there a way to both deal with the current state of corruption in our government and mitigate its expansion into the future? Now, we can't eliminate corruption no matter what system we build. It can be corrupted. I get that. But I do believe there are some things we can do to at least mitigate the influence of corruption in this government. And the first way is looking forward, looking into the future. I think the first thing we need to look to do to eliminate some of the incentive for corruption is to pay our elected officials more. I know that seems counterintuitive, but if you imagine that right now in Washington, D.C., any first-year associate at any major law firm in Washington, D.C. makes more money than a congressman does, you ought to realize that something is wrong with the system. And if you look at any seventh-year associate at those major law firms, or just about any major lobbyist in Washington, D.C., makes more money than the president, we've got a serious problem with how we pay the people that are accountable to us. And folks, there are only 537 people working for the federal government that are actually accountable to the citizens. And they are so vastly underpaid compared to the market that the only reason that anybody would seek those jobs is, one, they're already independently wealthy, or they know they can use the system for their own personal advancement. You know, you can't pay somebody $170,000 a year and expect them to live in Washington, D.C. and maintain a residence back home without thinking there must be a way that they can supplement that income. It simply doesn't defy logic. So we have to pay them more. I say we should pay a congressman at least $500,000 a year, a senator at least $750,000 a year, and the president and vice president ought to be paid commensurate with what a typical Fortune 1000 CEO gets paid. At least some type of formula offer that. As much money as we spend and borrow, we should be able to spend a few $100 million potentially to at least cover that base, so that the people that are accountable to us are making enough money from us that they don't see the need to use back channels and insider trading and other underhanded means to supplement their income. Now that's looking forward. But looking at the current state of affairs and the current amount of corruption within our government, I think there are some things we can do that do two things. One, address the problem, try to eliminate and mitigate it, and I feel there's a way to do that and offer grace and mercy to those that are currently corrupt. Because let's face it, the people that are corrupt know they are. There's no doubt about that. You know when you've been bought. You know when you owe people favors and they come calling for those people coming calling for them. All you want to do is make sure nobody else knows that you are. I think there's a way to mitigate that and encourage people, give them incentives to stop being corrupt. How would I do that? Well, first of all, I would say we need an independent counsel that is completely separate from the current Department of Justice, completely outside of government, and empower that that investigator, that prosecutor, to offer plea bargains, plea deals for those who wish to come forward, and to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law those that refuse to come forward. I think that there's a way to do that, and with Grace and Mercy, to offer an incentive package on a plea deal that would entice people that are corrupt to step forward, be honest, admit what they've been doing, and receive something back from it that is more acceptable than waiting for us to come knock on their door because we know they're corrupt. The other thing about this is the corrupt need to know that the game is about up, that we are seeing it, it's playing out before us, and we're done. We're tired of it. And if they think that this violation of the public trust is simply going to be a white-collar crime, in my mind they're sorely mistaken, because that prosecutor would be empowered to understand that a violation of the public trust, a fraud against the American people, is not simply some money crime, but it is undermining the will of the free people. It is more sedition than it is a payoff. And sedition is something that can be tried by a military tribunal, not the typical court of law. And I would be hard pressed to petition that would be how we deal with the corrupt. So, offer them an incentive, offer them grace and mercy, but we can't offer them absolution. If they're corrupt, if you're corrupt, you know you are, you know you're guilty, you know you need to come clean. But if you do, there could be grace and mercy associated with that. I have more specifics that I'd be willing to talk to you about, but that's at least a brief snapshot on where I think we are as far as how to deal with corruption both now and into the future. And you know, this corruption is not simply for our elected officials. It's for the people that are buying the full transaction. It's the people buying them too. So we've got to bring down this entire house of cards from start to finish, both sides of that transaction. I think there's a way to do it, and I hope you realize we need to do it. Again, if you like the videos you've been seeing, I hope you're willing to share them with other people. This movement only goes along, only spreads if you spread it. I hope you look at more of the website and see other ways you can help. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Again, this is John Muntean for Muntean for America. God bless you all, and God bless America.